When people talk about first-party ordering, I think we've started accepting a definition that's way too generous. If your guest places an order on your website, but the ordering experience lives on another brand's domain, is that really a first-party experience? I say not at all. It's a sublet or a lease, meaning it's not really yours at all. The guest may have started on your website, but at the most important moments of the journey, the menu perusal, adding to order, and completing the order, they've crossed into someone else's product. The experience, the infrastructure, and often the data model all belong to the platform that's powering the order. And for years, that trade-off made a lot of sense. Restaurant brands needed digital ordering quickly, and specialized platforms solved a real problem. They accelerated online ordering at a time when speed mattered more than ownership. But things have changed. Today, for restaurants, digital ordering isn't a side channel. It's not a second thought, or at least it shouldn't be. For many brands, it's one of the largest revenue channels they have. It's where guests discover new menu items, redeem rewards, respond to promotions, and increasingly decide whether or not to come back. And that changes the economics completely. When you're renting or leasing core pieces of that experience, you're also eliminating your ability to improve it. Marketing teams feel this first. They want to personalize offers, understand guest behavior across channels, and measure which campaigns actually drive revenue. Instead, they're often working through platform limitations, incomplete data, or reporting that begins and ends where the vendor wants it to begin and end. Technology teams run into a different version of the same problems. Every new feature request becomes a roadmap discussion with the vendor. Cross your fingers, hope they listen, and hope they actually do something about it. Every integration carries another dependency. Every enhancement competes with hundreds of other brands asking for the same thing or different things. Operations, they see it differently again. They don't care who owns the code. They care whether digital makes restaurants easier to run, whether promotions work consistently, whether menu changes happen cleanly, and whether the guest experience creates fewer support calls instead of more. These three disciplines within the organization shouldn't be operating individually. If they all talk, they realize that they're not really separate problems at all. They're all symptoms of not fully owning the experience from beginning to end. And that's not to say your tech partners aren't great. In fact, they are. But if they're not speaking to each other, then you're missing the mark. The brands pulling ahead are starting to think about digital the same way they think about their physical restaurants. You wouldn't lease the front counter to another company and expect to build a lasting guest relationship. Your website and app deserve the same thinking. That doesn't mean you have to build everything yourself. In fact, I think there's a balance that needs to be struck. It means that you own the experience and leverage the power of your commerce, loyalty, and other partners. It means your website and your app operate on the same platform, backed by the same guest profiles, the same business rules, the same loyalty engine, and the same commerce platform. Every interaction strengthens a single understanding of the guest instead of scattering data across disconnected systems. Once that foundation is in place, interesting things start happening. Marketing can launch campaigns faster because they're working from a complete guest profile. Product teams can test improvements across web and mobile without maintaining two separate experiences. Operations get consistency because every digital touchpoint follows the same rules, pulling from the same place. And the guests either notice it or they definitely feel it. Not because they care about architecture, but because everything feels more coherent, easier to use. Signing in is easier. Loyalty works the way they expect and want. Ordering is lightning fast. Offers are more relevant, and small improvements compound across millions of transactions. That's why we here at 3L routinely see double-digit improvements in conversion rates, average order value, and digital sales when brands move from a rented experience that is jostled across multiple domains to a fully unified, integrated experience where the .com is everything and no one ever leaves it. Those gains come from more than just pretty looks. It's from removing friction and connecting the systems the way they were meant to be, and giving teams the freedom to optimize the entire guest journey instead of just isolated pieces of it. The real opportunity isn't replacing one vendor with others. It's changing the way you think about digital ownership and looking at your digital partners through a different light, seeing them as engines, not the end-all be-all. Because every guest interaction creates value. The question is whether that value accumulates inside your business or someone else's business. The brands creating the biggest competitive advantage have already answered that question. They decided the guest relationship was too important to lease. And I think you'll agree. So I would love to unpack this more. I'm happy to answer questions. Please put them in the comments and I'll be responding right away. And hopefully this started to inspire you and give you ideas. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to earn that like and subscribe if possible. Until next time, cheers.